Hey guys, Zane here with another one take review, and today I want to talk about the new Rico Nasty mixtape, Las Ruinas. Yes, I know, I'm like a week and a half late to review this, and you may be wondering, are you just reviewing this because Fantano reviewed it, and now you feel like you're legally obligated to fall in line with the norms of the music geek subculture found on the internet by following in the footsteps of the most popular reviewer on the entire YouTube platform at the moment? Yes, absolutely, but also I actually was interested in hearing this, and it was pretty good overall. If you couldn't guess by now, Las Ruinas is the latest mixtape from experimental rapper and singer Rico Nasty. Although not a massive name per se, she has definitely made waves within the realm of music internet kind of culture, and overall I have to say that she has in general become a pretty relevant figure in the realm of experimental music overall, even if she isn't necessarily the most experimental in the traditional sense. Look, it's not like Swans made a hip-hop pop kind of album or anything like that, but Las Ruinas is a good example of a light form of experimental music that's kind of a nice meeting point between the extremes and the lightness of the subgenre of experimental hip-hop and experimental pop music. Performance-wise, Rico was strong, but she can also be a bit much from time to time as she relies on her persona just a little too often on occasion. She's just simply a bit too in-your-face at times, and honestly that is the point of the Rico Nasty persona and character that she portrays for her large audience, and I mean artistically that is very, very respectable, but it doesn't stop tracks like Skullflower from being less likable in general due to her performance. While her obnoxious performance style definitely can work in the context of some tracks or in a shorter, more condensed listening experience, i.e. a couple of songs here or there, the entire album gets to be a bit draining after a while hearing one track after another with that exact style of delivery, though I will say towards the back half of the album especially, she does tone things down a bit and it works greatly towards her benefit. The lyricism here is also more of what you would generally expect from an artist like Rico Nasty, as there are times where it verges on horrorcore overall, so over the top and cartoonish and occasionally violent and sexualized that it really does kind of go into the realm of classic horrorcore, but not quite. That stuff's fine and pretty expected and just run-of-the-mill for an album, or I should say mixtape like Las Ruinas, but what really does grab me here is that some of Rico Nasty's most personal songwriting is found on this mixtape. Tracks like Messy are some of her most honest that she has ever recorded, even with her persona still contributing this sort of over-the-top performance-related and lyrical-related hyperbole to the songs. The most heartfelt cut off of the album is the Heartbroken Easy, which is just frankly quite a moving song, and surprisingly so. It's one of her most thematically impressive songs, one of her most emotionally successful songs, and generally it's one of the best that Rico Nasty has done so far in a fairly solid discography. Well, again, there is a lot of moments on Las Ruinas that are fairly predictable overall, and those are more common than the unpredictable moments. I have to say that this is a mixtape worth hearing, if not exclusively for the sake that it really does show artistic evolution. What does intrigue me here is a lot of the instrumentals, as a good portion of them, not all of them, but a good portion of them, are industrial to some extent, but not quite totally abrasive either, which sounds like an oxymoron, I know, but really it's true. It's sort of like experimental hip-hop meets pop rap, and that's great actually, because it meets a nice middle point for the fans of the experimental side of rap and hip-hop, and fans of the lighter side of things, the more mainstream side of things even. Las Ruinas could even be a decent bit of gateway exposure to the more experimental corners of hip-hop and pop music for someone who is completely unfamiliarized with any of them. Now, am I saying this is the best example of experimental hip-hop out there? No, not at all. In a world with people like Danny Brown or Billy Woods out there, or even more classic acts like Cannibal Ox, for example, Las Ruinas is far from being the best experimental music out there at the moment, but nonetheless, it is easily accessible while still being musically unique and creatively powerful. I mean, the experimental cuts are solid, and some of the more pop-based cuts are equally so. It's really just a nice balancing of the two overall. Many albums have tackled this sound and aesthetic better in the past, but at the same time, the alternative sounds and instrumentation stylings that are presented on Las Ruinas are still very respectable and ultimately some of the most successful stuff that's come from Rico Nasty's career so far in terms of actual composition and conceptualism. So overall, Las Ruinas is a solid mixtape from an artist that has consistently been solid, never particularly mind-blowing or anything like that, but Rico Nasty is nonetheless a very strong performer who continues to grow artistically on her latest release. I'm going to give this mixtape 3.5 stars out of 5. My one take on this mixtape is that Las Ruinas does have a bad habit of being slightly obnoxious from time to time, but it also feels like Rico Nasty's most personal and accomplished release to date. So again, 3.5 stars out of 5. And with that being said, that's the end of this review, and I'll see you guys in the next one.